Okay, so we're just going to show a couple of other techniques. Again, I've basically, as I said, been training for a long time. I've got a host of ideas in terms of instructionals. I've got 3 or 4 already fully planned out with other ideas of ones if you know something comes of this. So I just want to show you another idea I've got, which is basically a whole body escape instructional. So again, we all do escapes, but in practice they're harder than what they are on the videos, obviously. And so one of the big elements that's missing is the idea of multi-directional escapes, and again using your whole body to escape. So I'm just going to give a couple of little demonstrations here and show a couple of slight variations basically of escapes that again hopefully haven't been seen before. So we'll look at, first things first, we'll look at escaping the mount position. So again, if Chris is on top, so we all know and understand classic escapes of trying to bridge, trying to shrimp, getting inside position, etc. When someone is down very low and heavy on the side with his legs locked, so this time up, just with your hands up, the hands up from here. Again, we've got a few good ways of getting into this position, but if he's just here and he's just sort of covering me from here, I can bridge and do everything else, but when he's in a really solid position here, it's not as effective. So what I'm going to do is, if my hips are pinned, I'm going to focus on moving my upper body instead. So rather than going with my hands to the hips, I'm going to go inside his arm here and move out. So as soon as my head gets outside the alignment of his body, the escape is underway. And if you think of this, the other place you classically see this is if he's here, he's up in position, and then I go and bridge him and both hands land on the ground over here. We see this all the time, and you know, everybody goes back to the hips here, which is good. But with this particular escape, we can go to the upper body to help us finish it. So he's here, in position, locks his feet. I'm in this spot and you know struggling to make my classic escapes work, so I'm going to get both hands on the outside of his armpit here, and then as soon as I do, I move my head away as hard as I can. So from here, this is super important. If I stay here, I'm going to try and bring my hand down the sweet spot of my forearm into the back of his tricep here to control. I don't want to grab with my hand straight away, because if I miss it, I miss everything. But from here, if I just stay in this position and Chris basically goes to get back up on top, he gets back up on top. But if once he's here, lock your feet. Once he's here, I'm not going to stop moving. I'm going to start to circle. I'm going to start to walk my legs to the left as I take my head to the right. And this does a couple of things. One, it messes with his base and makes it more difficult for him to maintain the integrity of his leg control. Keep your legs locked, mate. But also, it constantly, my hip driving into the back of his leg, it constantly forces him over in this direction. So it's very hard for him to come back up and away to regain his mount. So if I'm here, I start to spin, and he tries to get back up, this becomes more difficult. So from here now, once I've got this position, I can finish a number of ways. I can come and attack the leg. I can bring my hand to the hip now and just essentially shrimp out straight into a leg entanglement. So call this a spin or a circle escape. And again, it's taking into account that idea of moving our body in a different direction in a very efficient way, which is just literally walking our hips along the ground this way. It's a very, very powerful movement if used effectively. And again, it's much more energy efficient than bridging 3 or 4 ways and then getting stuck with nothing from it. So again, that's one example. If he gets on here again, we'll just show how you can use that in concert with your bridge. So even if he's got crossface here, so he's down strong here in this position. Again, I can get to the spot where I can move him and get his hand moving, knowing that he's going to bring his weight back. As he does, rather than staying here and going to the hips, I'm going to look to scoop under his arm as he comes back with pressure, and again, move my head all the way out to the side. Once I get here, if I get a good grip on the elbow, I can use my hand. He starts to move to get back up. I keep him moving, and again, then can switch to the hip and get out into any position from there. So there's a few good options how to get into that spin escape, and again, once you are there, a lot of good options in terms of how you can feed it into other combinations as well. I'll show one nice one is that when they do counter, so again, if I'm here, I move out, get to this position, I start to spin. If I feel as though he is starting to bring this arm back and I'm going to lose the position, then I can, because I've got this control on his arm here, as he comes back, I can switch and grab a 2-on-1 on his wrist. As soon as I get the 2-on-1, even though he's on top, I get the 2-on-1, I plant it into his hips, and now it's just about impossible for him to maintain the mount. So I can straighten my arms, I've got good strong straight frames, I don't look to bridge him in the opposite direction, or it's very powerful now to shrimp again and get back out. So that's the mount spin escape.